Hello guys, welcome to the Alrasta channel, where I can talk about and explain SwallowedStar, episode 189's exciting story. In the previous episode, after entering the sacrificial tower, Luo Feng successfully found 3 treasure chests that were sought after by his side and the machine race. Not allowing the enemy to obtain the treasures, Luo Feng left carrying them. However, a deadly battle eventually broke out in the corridors of the sacrificial tower. Neither side knew that behind the scenes, there was an entity from the native race of the Yanji continent, which was planning to reveal itself after the human and machine races fought each other. In the battle, Luo Feng's side was at a disadvantage because the enemy had Kan Jin, a warrior with the strongest lightning powers among them all. So, what will happen in this episode? Okay, without further ado, let's get straight to the story. In the midst of their escape, King Yechen asked Luo Feng and his sister to leave first, while he would hold off Kan Jin to give them time to get away from the battlefield. When he returned to the one-on-one fight, Yechen delivered a powerful blow to his opponent's waist, but the blow did not cause Kang Jin any difficulty. The enemy remained standing firmly, even capable of launching a counterattack, kicking Yechen's body with his knee. On the other hand, Luo Feng and Star Fantasy, who were trying to escape, were soon intercepted by Si Weika, who had been waiting with his automaton puppet, and fired laser shots to take down Luo Feng and Star Fantasy. To counter the enemy's laser attacks, Luo Feng used the Beast God Shield, while Star Fantasy used the Wormhole technique to devour the incoming enemy attacks. However, that was only the enemy's initial attack. Shortly thereafter, from in front of Luo Feng, Si Weika took out a heavy weapon, a destructive cannon powered by the automaton puppets behind him. Meanwhile, from behind, Purple Clock unleashed another attack with his flying weapon, resulting in a 2-pronged attack. The situation was not looking good for Luo Feng, especially since the enemy took advantage of the sacrificial tower's limitations, which prevented Star Fantasy from using her teleportation ability while inside. As Luo Feng and Star Fantasy faced attacks from 2 directions, Ye Chen activated the Eternal Burning Flame. He gathered fire energy from his surroundings and formed it into a small sun. Before Ye Chen unleashed his ultimate attack, Kang Jin advanced with his lightning spear, piercing through the small sun that had formed before finally delivering a powerful blow, knocking Ye Chen against the wall and inflicting deep wounds. This was a very unfavorable situation for the human race because Ye Chen was no longer able to defeat the stronger Kang Jin. Returning to Luo Feng, he faced attacks from 2 directions, but it was not a significant problem for him. He first neutralized Purple Clock's attack from behind with a sword slash and slowly advanced towards Si Weika while cutting through the enemy's laser attacks. That was how Luo Feng managed to break through the attack formation of Si Weika and Purple Clock. Kang Jin, who knew that Luo Feng had successfully escaped with the treasure chest, became furious, thinking that Si Weika and Purple Clock were useless, so Kang Jin decided to intervene to stop Luo Feng and Star Fantasy. Not only that, Kang Jin also intended to take 70% of the treasure because he had worked harder than the others. In a short time, Kang Jin's lightning power exploded, becoming stronger than ever before. That enemy burned a small part of his divine body to gain additional power. His attacks were already very powerful in their normal mode, and they are even more formidable now. That's why Babata asked Luo Feng to avoid Kang Jin's attacks at all costs. Kang Jin then unleashed a cube-shaped lightning attack towards Luo Feng and Star Fantasy. Before it hit them, Ye Chen appeared as a flesh shield that stopped the enemy's attack in the blink of an eye. Although it was very brief and destroyed his body, it was enough to give Luo Feng and Star Fantasy time to escape. It was only one attack, but it caused King Ye Chen to lose half of his divine body. Well, even though he could come back to life, if he were hit by that attack a second time, Ye Chen would truly die. When Luo Feng wanted to save his comrade, Ye Chen couldn't run anywhere. His body was restrained, his hands and feet bound by Kang Jin's lightning power. However, that didn't change Luo Feng's decision to save him. As he turned around, Luo Feng began to fight back, knocking away the automaton puppets and intending to save Ye Chen using the technique of cosmic resonance, just as Kang Jin prepared his lightning cube. However, Luo Feng faced a dilemma, as Ye Chen's telepathic whisper urged him to take the Star Fantasy, which was currently surrounded by the automaton puppets. In fact, Babata also told Luo Feng not to play the hero, and that saving himself was his priority. Luo Feng, faced with a difficult choice, was suddenly attacked by Kang Jin. While at the rear, the enemy also managed to break through Star Fantasy's defenses. Ultimately, Ye Chen made the decision to blow himself up and die alongside the enemy. Recognizing the imminent danger, the enemy began to form a protective shield in preparation for the impending explosion, which allowed Luo Feng to take advantage of the situation and escape as far as possible while carrying Star Fantasy with him. Seeing this, Star Fantasy could only cry as she watched her brother choose to sacrifice himself for her safety. However, in order to escape, the sacrifice was worth it. Yi Chen's body exploded, destroying the automaton puppets and Si Wei Ka. However, it had little effect on the sacrificial tower, proving that the ancient structure was made of extremely sturdy materials. Unfortunately, despite sustaining serious injuries, Purple Clock did not die. Meanwhile, Kang Jin was still in prime condition and both of them were able to continue the fight. Kang Jin then took several items from Ye Chen and Si Wei Ka, including the sacrificial tower token that had been surrendered after the explosion, and the two of them quickly resumed their pursuit of Luo Feng. On the other hand, Elder Qiu Qika and Lord Pu Ai, who were still monitoring the battle, considered the situation unfavorable. Since the sacrificial tower token was still in the hands of the intruders, and he would rather not let them leave the tower, Elder Qiu Qika decided to intervene directly. Returning to Luo Feng, Star Fantasy, who was being carried by him, wanted to break free and felt emotional about avenging her brother's death. Meanwhile, Luo Feng said coldly that they couldn't let Ye Chen's death be in vain. From the previous battle, Luo Feng discovered that Kang Jin was at the limit of the Immortal King level, stronger than the peak Immortal King. Ye Chen's explosion alone did not cause significant damage to that enemy. Judging from the situation, it seemed that even Luo Feng's entire insect army combined would not be able to defeat Kang Jin. Well, that enemy was very dangerous. If Luo Feng confronted Kang Jin directly while he was burning a portion of his divine body, his human body would surely die instantly. If he wanted to fight directly, the only way was to use Golden Horned Behemoth mode. But unfortunately, the Golden Horned Behemoth's body could not act in the very narrow space of the Sacrificial Tower's corridor. On the other hand, Purple Clock muttered that Chai Wei Ka had died because of Ye Chen's suicide explosion. Meanwhile, he himself had suffered serious injuries. Purple Clock remembered that the human race had a warrior universe master who was very powerful, and in the future, there was a possibility that Ye Chen could be resurrected. Kang Jin said that even if Ye Chen could be resurrected, it would take a very long time. And now, they had to kill the humans who were being hunted in order to obtain wealth. Therefore, they had to chase Luo Feng and obtain the treasure chest he was carrying. From this, Purple Clock understood that Kang Jin was a greedy creature. He used Ye Chen's suicide explosion to kill Ti Wei Ka. And finally, he was able to get a bigger share of the treasure. Or maybe Kang Jin intended to take control of the treasure himself. Kang Jin's lightning power, focused on the pursuit, was able to track Luo Feng's movements. The lightning covered the front passage like a fishing net. However, Luo Feng was able to pass through it with the 3 resonances of the universe technique and escape to the end of the passage. However, when Luo Feng arrived at the exit gate of the Sacrificial Tower, a Yanji race figure blocked his path. He used his giant palm to stop Luo Feng's movement. The enemy's strength was at the peak Immortal King level, so Luo Feng couldn't just break through and escape. Kang Jin, who had just arrived, also thanked the natives of the Yanji continent, who had appeared to stop Luo Feng from tearing away his treasure chest. The one blocking his path was Elder Chu Chika. He told his enemies that he actually wanted them all dead. But because they wanted to escape from the sacrificial tower, Chu Chika was forced to reveal himself. Even though only a few survivors remained from the Yanji continent, he still dared to show himself, said Kong Jin arrogantly as he pointed his spear. Elder Chu Chika, who was not afraid at all, then revealed that he had been inside the sacrificial tower all this time, observing the movements of the intruders. At first, he planned for the intruders from the two races to kill each other first, thinking that the more deaths, the better. Chu Chika still remembered that the four peak races, including humans and the machine race, were the invaders who had destroyed his home in the past. That's why he really wanted many of them to die in this sacrificial tower. If everything had been planned, Luo Feng would have had doubts about the treasure he was carrying. After laughing loudly, Chu Chika bowed his head and suddenly apologized. With a sullen face, he said that the treasure that the intruders had been fighting over was just an empty box. These words immediately shocked the two parties who had been fighting. In fact, the empty treasure chest was a tool that had been prepared to make them kill each other. Chu Chika also dared to prove that his treasure chest was empty. After all, the Yanji treasure chest could only be opened by members of the Yanji race. So, to find out, Luo Feng took out a treasure chest. Using a stick, Chu Chika then drew the Star of David on the treasure chest until it finally opened. And sure enough, the treasure chest was indeed empty. Chu Chika mentioned that the treasure sought by the previous intruders was not the true treasure of the sacrificial tower. The real treasure was stored so carefully in a room that even an Immortal Warrior King's explosion couldn't destroy it. The real treasure could only be opened by natives like Chu Chika. However, to access it, he also needed the sacrificial tower token carried by the intruders. If King Jin had not taken the tokens from the dead Tai Wei Ka and Ye Chen, and they had all tried to escape from the sacrificial tower, then Chu Chika would not have appeared there. If the intruders had left with the tokens, then Chu Chika would never have been able to obtain the true treasure. Without Chu Chika, the treasure room could not be opened. On the other hand, the sacrificial tower tokens were in the hands of the intruders. That's why Chu Chika invited the intruders to cooperate. The intruders would open the true treasure, but Chu Chika required half of it for himself. And if either side refused, Chu Chika was willing to help the side that wanted to cooperate with him. Kang Jin decided without hesitation to cooperate, and for Luo Feng and Star Fantasy, he also agreed to accept Elder Chu Chika's request. At least this way, they wouldn't have to fight first and would be safe, even if only temporarily. Because of the fight over the empty box, her brother had to die, so Star Fantasy would agree too. She didn't want to go home without bringing the treasure, and in order to prepare for Ye Chen's future resurrection, she had to get it. Greed, desire, and ambition were things that could not be erased from powerful people. As the strongest among them, Kong Jin promised that if any of them conspired, such as by doing something suspicious, he would kill them immediately. Kong Jin tried to show his dominance here. Not long after, Elder Chu Chika immediately took the intruders to the location of the real treasure room. It is truly very well hidden and almost impossible to find. Before entering the main room, there is even a hidden door that must be opened, and it is located in the middle of a hallway that looks completely innocuous. After Chu Chika opened it, a door to a true treasure room made of G-class material appeared. The machine race members who observed the treasure estimated that if the metal were valued in their currency, it would be worth several hundred million yuan. The entrance alone was made of such expensive material. Kang Jin was sure that the treasures stored inside would also be amazing. Elder Chu Chi reminded him again that he was the only one who could open the door to the room with the sacrificial tower token. So Kang Jin had to hand over his token to him. Kang Jin threatened to point his spear at Chu Chi, whom he thought was trying to deceive him. But after seeing that Chu Chi was not afraid of his threat at all, Kang Jin believed him and immediately gave the token to the elder. Well, Babata thought the Yanji elder was very annoying. Babata was sure that the man still had a strong trump card up his sleeve. The proof was that he was still alive despite his very annoying attitude. With the sacrificial tower token in his hand, Elder Chu Chi activated the sacrificial tower's artificial intelligence system and asked it to open the door to the true treasure room.
祭塔，主人，锁定信符，开启藏宝室之门。
When the door to the room opened, Purple Clock and Kang Jin immediately laughed evilly, while Luo Feng and Star Fantasy continued to observe the situation. And right after the door was fully opened, Chu Chi immediately moved first. Kang Jin, thinking that Chu Chi wanted to take the treasure first, also moved, followed by Purple Clock and Star Fantasy. The last to move was Luo Feng. Before Chu Chi could touch a single treasure box on the altar, Kang Jin released his spear from behind, the flying spear attack pushing Chu Chi's body against the wall. Despite his injuries, Chu Chi was still able to laugh and explain that the chain securing the treasure chest was made of a special metal that even a Universe Venerable level warrior would have difficulty opening. Let alone Kang Jin, even if he blew himself up, the treasure chest would not open. Kang Jin, who was angry, then pulled back his spear and ordered Chu Chi to open the treasure chest. However, this time Chu Chi did not obey Kang Jin's words. Instead, he asked the AI sacrificial tower to tightly close the door of the treasure room, trapping Luo Feng and the others inside. Sure enough, this was all part of Chu Chi's plan. He deliberately acted as bait and lured the intruders into the trap room. After obtaining the sacrificial tower token, Chu Chi successfully took control of the sacrificial tower and commanded the AI system inside it. The plan he was executing this time was, of course, to ensure that the remnants of his race could survive into the future. Even though they had risen again after enduring much suffering for a long time, in the end, this time they obtained the most important inheritance in the sacrificial tower. His sacrifice was only a small price to pay, according to the elder. Meanwhile, Lord Pu-ai was waiting outside the room, and he would be the one to transport the contents of the true treasure chest after Elder Chu Chi sacrificed himself. When Chu Chi laughed loudly, San Jin, who felt he'd been played again, immediately stabbed the elder's body in a fit of rage. Even though it hurt, Chu Chi continued to laugh happily when he received Kang Jin's lightning attack. Chu Chi laughed, convinced that everyone in the room would die. Most likely, he intended to blow himself up, or perhaps even more than that. Because the elder was confident, it was certain that Kang Jin would also die. Then, can Luo Feng escape from this threatening situation? And will Luo Feng later use Moshe's body to become a Yanji race member in order to escape from the gate? Okay, thank you for watching until the end, and don't forget to support this channel with likes, subscribe, and comments. That's all from me. Bye.